Hi, I'd like to talk with you about the changing role of the Agile Coach. And my story starts about 2 years ago when I started a new assignment and I was welcomed in by my manager, who seemed very pleased to have me in the crew. And she said to me, well, don't worry about the Agile teams. We've been doing Agile quite some bit. They know how to do it. So whether you coach them or not, they will do their thing. And it kind of struck me as odd. So, am I being told on my first day that I'm not needed? How can I add value to this organization? What do I need to do to make an impact? And that started me thinking, and I thought that it's interesting to share with you. So first thing is, what does an Agile Coach do? I came up with this description, which is probably not complete in every aspect, but I think we come a long way if we say that Agile Coach help organizations to implement the Agile methodology and the mindset, that we provide support to the teams to become more performing, and that we strive to have awesome teams that collaborate, create transparency, and are predictable in output and in quality. That seems like a good thing. And that Agile coaches try to promote growth by setting growth goals, giving feedback, provide a mirror to look in, and then ultimately we equip the teams with the right tools, knowledge, and training so they'll be able to create great products for their customers. And that seems like a nice description, but in it is a very strong team focus. And I think that's logical because the team build software and make the value in that respect. And originally, I think Agile coaches were very much focused on the team. So we just didn't have much flavors, we just had the Agile coach. Until about 2011, when Lisa Atkins and Michael Spade came with the Agile Coaching Competence Framework, which you might know. And she said that there are different ways how an Agile coach works. He's training, he's coaching, he's facilitating, that kind of modes. But what I find very interesting is that she added technical and business and transformational mastery. So she said there's a natural preferences for coaches to have one or the other mastery, and they should try to become really good in that, but maybe they shouldn't try to become good in all of them because the Agile working field is quite wide and it's very difficult to be a master in everything. And with the creation of the masteries, I think the Agile coaching role became more than just a team coach and got more flavor and more color. But more is needed now, I think, because organizations are moving on, progressing on their Agile journey, and while they're doing that, they learn new things, they get new challenges, they encounter new problems that they need to solve. So consequently, the demand on the Agile coaches is changing accordingly. So we're being asked to do different things than we were being asked in the beginning. And that's interesting. So I gave that a thought and I came up with the 3 wave models where I say there are 3 waves of adoptions that correspond with the progress the organization is making on their Agile journey. And what does that mean? I think a lot of organizations start with a team focus. They're learning the teams how to do their Scrum, their Kanban, how to transform user stories into workable or potential shippable items that are done, and it's really much focused on the team and the people in the team to understand Agile and to become productive. Only to find out, and that's the second phase of adoption, that if you want to have business agility and want to put value into production, you need to combine the work of several teams into one technical release. And suddenly the game is changing because you're talking about cross-team alignment, dividing the work over different teams, and the integration of the works as well. How do you integrate different team outputs into one release? How do you test that? And how do you put that technical release live? And once you've mastered that, I think you enter the 3rd wave, where you go back to why are we starting with Agile anyway? It was all about business value, and how can we assess whether we deliver the value that we have, whether we make the impact for the customer with the way we develop our software and the things that we put live. And we'll notice that different layers of the organizations need to collaborate. We need to have value streams. We need to have collaboration cross releases, cross products maybe even. And we all know the clash between traditional management and Agile working floor. So leadership needs to become Agile as well and support the transformation further. And with that model in mind, I thought about several items and thought like on those items, what kind of challenges do you encounter as an organization depending on the wave you are in? And I'm not going into detail in this table, but it shows that you have different challenges in different moments of your Agile journey. And consequently, we get different questions as Agile coaches to support the organization as well. And that's interesting because we need to evolve the Agile coaching's role maybe even further. So I came up at a crossroad and I was thinking, like, what kind of Agile coach do I want to be? What kind of Agile coaches do we have? And I discovered that there's a delivery coach, a leadership coach, and a team coach. And I will very shortly illustrate them. Well, a team coach we know, and he helps the team becoming that better, transparent, producing teams. I've spoken with a manager that once said, and I love that quote, so I repeat it more than once, my team does the ceremonies, they're doing the dance steps, but they're not swinging. And that's true, because teams tend to fall back in maturity. Teams get sloppy, sometimes the teams don't understand Agile. I was once giving a training to an experienced team, and some people didn't know the Agile Manifesto. And the composition of the team is changing, so they might fall back. New members enter the team that didn't have the same training. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. And leadership is putting a lot of business pressure on the team, so sometimes they get into the production mode and forget about the Agile values and the continuous improvement and all the things that come with that. So there is a need for team coaching. They'll be needed anyway. And even in the situation that I was talking about, not all the teams were up to speed with the Agile. The second profile that I came up with is the one of the delivery coach. Because especially in the second phase, when we start to integrate stuff, things like value stream analysis and continuous integration and deployment come into interest. And we might want to map things and teams on the customer journey. And we like to do a lot of automation. So the delivery coach sits with the team and helps them implement them, but also has a transformational part because he makes this an agenda point for the leadership team to invest in implementing these practices. And then you have organizations that are doing Agile for quite some time and are wondering, like, we've been doing this for 5 years, how come it doesn't work? And the team coach goes to the teams and trying to solve the other thing, whereas the leadership coach says, maybe there's a structural problem and we need to look at leadership as well. So I came up with the Agile Counselor, and I was really inspired by the ship counselor from Star Trek when I was looking for counseling descriptions, because the ship counselor, you might recognize Troy from the series, so he is concerned with the crew health, with the leadership coaching, and with new contacts. And I think we can translate that to the working floor and the Agile context that we are working in. The crew health is that we walk the shop floor and see where the smells are, where teams are unhappy, and we report that back to the leadership team. And we coach the leadership team in taking these items on, but also in being effective as Agile leaders themselves. How do they support the Agile way of working? How do they broadcast the transformation message? And as organizations move on, get into mergers, get in new threats like COVID, for instance, and we need to come up with new solutions. So we might not meet aliens, but we can be a counselor and guide the leadership team with those new situations. And with those three profiles, we can do several things. One thing, we can have a discussion about the personal preferences. So a lot of the coaches that I talked with had a preference for being the team coach, the delivery coach, or the counselor. So that's very good to know what kind of coaches we have in our team. And we can look at the competences that are needed to become a good delivery coach or a good counselor or a good team coach and grow them. So we have a set of Agile coaches that can really deliver all the things, all the flavors that are needed by the organization. And with that, we can do alignment of expectations. We can reach out, have a discussion with the organization that we're working for, those business managers, that leadership teams, those teams that are putting that value out, and align what we can offer with what they are needing. And I think that's one of the main lessons that I learned in the last years, that with those three perspectives, we can encircle the leadership team, we can help them, and we need to help them with different perspectives in order to be complete and make the transformation a success. So leadership team and Agile coaches need to collaborate closely, and we're bounded by the same goals and purposes that we have. And with that, I think we can make an effective transformation in the second wave, but also in the future for organizations that are entering the third wave. Well, if you want to learn more about this, because this was a short presentation, I wrote an article about the Agile Counselor, which you can download on my blog. There's an experience report which goes with this talk, which you can find on the conference website. And I'm very proud to announce that my new book has been published, I think about now, and it has this story in it as well, and much more. So you can check it out. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I love to talk with you about making Agile transformation a success. Thank you for listening.